everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sydney, and today I'm going to be talking about the 25 books I want to read in 2025. Now, I know it's already February and you have already seen a lot of these videos from other creators and other booktubers, but I still wanted to put mine out there. I did curate a list prior to 2025, I think in December. I figured I would share it with you guys today and to put it like on the internet to keep myself accountable. Now, these have never been successful in past years for me. I've never really stuck to these TBRs, but this year's gonna be different. Okay, that's what we all say, but it truly is. I think I put a good list together of books that are gonna make sense to read, that I will want to read, and I think that overall this list is doable. I mostly just have books that are on my physical TBR on this list. I do have a couple new releases that are coming out this year that I wanted to add on the list to kind of get me excited for something different, you know? So I'm not only reading the books that I own, so I can kind of mix it up on some of the months where these new releases are coming out that I'm excited for. So like I said, a lot of these are on my physical TBR already. I've probably talked about them several times before in past videos, put them on TBRs as hopefuls and just still haven't gotten to them. So these are going to be the priority books for 2025. The first one being Fourth Wing. Obviously, I need to read this year. I need to hurry up and get caught up with this whole hype train. Possibly move on with the series if I enjoy it. I shouldn't necessarily binge the series because I did hear the author is taking a break now after Onyx Storm. So the next book's not coming out for a while. I don't know if I'll really be dying for the next book by the end of the third one. So if I do read all three this year, that would be great. But only Fourth Wing is on the list. And then I have the rest of the Mortal Instruments series, which is 4 through 6 for me. I've read 1 through 3. So City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, City of Heavenly Fire. All I want to get to this year so that I can complete the Mortal Instruments. But I also have on here Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess, which are the Infernal Devices trilogy. I actually have already read Clockwork Angel, so that's one I can check off of this list already. I read that in January, so I just need to read the other two. I said this in my wrap-up that I am reading them in the Cassandra Clare suggested order, so I believe I have to finish Infernal Devices before going back to the Mortal Instruments, but I think also somewhere in there I gotta read the Red Scrolls of Magic, which I also own physically, and I'm also adding to this list. So a big goal of mine for this year is to make my way through the Shadowhunters world. That's already 8 of the books. A lot of them are contributing to that series. Next up, I also want to read Blindsided by Karen Slaughter. I did start this several years ago, and I was enjoying it, but for whatever reason I put it down. And so I just need to pick it back up again and finish it. Next, I have Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. Again, I've had this one for a very long time, and when it was like pretty popular on the internet, I was hearing really good things about it, and I was like, oh dang, I need to pick this up. It sounds so good, and then I just like never did. And I've thought about unhauling it several times, but I've been hesitant to because I feel like I'll really like it, so I want to give it a try, and I'm gonna get to it this year. Then I also have The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. Zuzak? Is that right? I don't have the authors written down, so these are all coming off the dome right now, but that sounds right. Marcus Zuzak? Cusack? Marcus Zuzak. This I am thinking about using as a family book club pick for when it's my turn. I think that this would be a fun one to read with everyone. We have read a lot of like World War II or just like war books in general, so I'm gonna kind of feel it out with the rest of the group to see what their thoughts would be on reading another World War II book. I think they would all really like it, so this is a contender for a pick. Either way, I'm gonna read it this year. And then I also have the Book of Form and Emptiness. This is a chunker that I've had for a long time that I've always wanted to get to as well. And just, these are all books that I just haven't gravitated towards. I haven't ever like picked up and been like, okay, this is what I'm reading. And I'm not sure why, but I could have a lot of 5 stars just sitting on my shelves, and I would never know until I read them. So we're gonna read that this year. I also want to read Shatter Me, and I would love to get to more of the series, but obviously just book 1 is on the list. I think that I would absolutely love this series as well because it's sci-fi, like dystopian. I have a real soft spot in my heart for like YA sci-fi dystopian books. Sometimes like if they're done well, if I enjoy the characters in the world, then it's usually a good time for me. So I have really high hopes about this series, so I'm gonna get to the first book this year and we'll see how it goes. Speaking of YA dystopian, I also have The Towering Sky by Catherine McGee, which is the third book in the series of, what's it called? The Thousandth Floor. I've read the first two books, obviously, Thousandth Floor and Dazzling Heights. The Towering Sky is the third and final book in the series, and I want to finish that out this year because I really did love that world and those characters. It was super fun time. Then I also have Midnight Sun on here. Now, I should have read this when I read the rest of the Twilight series 2 years ago, 2023. I just skipped over Midnight Sun, even though I owned it. I just was kind of done with Twilight and vampires at the time, so I skipped over it, but I do want to go back to it and read it possibly like in the fall. I also have House of Leaves by Mark Z something. You know the one, House of Leaves. This book has been haunting me actually since I purchased it. I think it's another one of those that I will absolutely love and enjoy my time in when I'm reading it. I just have to pick it up. That's the first step. So we're gonna do that this year. Another first book in a series that I'm far behind on, that I need to dip my toes in and see what the hype's all about, and that is Crescent City. House of Earth and Blood, the first book. I've been telling myself to read this book for years as well, and just haven't, but we're gonna mark my words. The next book is one that I read in January, so another one I can check off this list, Pride and Prejudice. If you saw my wrap-up, you know my thoughts on this. If you didn't, go watch it, hear my thoughts on it, but be warned. And then the last three that I own physically are Stephen King books that I want to get to. I do have more than this, but I ran out of slots to fill, so I only put 3 of his on here. That is The Institute, Misery, and The Shining. These are the 3 Stephen King books that are on this list. I also own If It Bleeds, and I'm planning to read that this month, so I really should swap that book for one of these, but it's okay. That way I can just get through more. So I do want to read all of the Stephen King that I own already and get to those. And then the last 4 on my list are all new-ish releases. 3 of them came out, or 2 of them are coming out this year, and then 2 of them from last year, I believe. Or one of them could be from last year, one of them could be from several years prior, I'm not sure. But the ones that I know that came out this year, most recently, All the Water in the World. I want to read this one, and I'm also planning to read it this month for both Buzzwordathon challenges. If you haven't heard of Buzzwordathon, it is created by Books and Lala. She has 2 different challenges this year. One is the typical using words found in the title, and then the other challenge that she added on this year is book covers. So for February, the buzzwords are any water words, so obviously water, and then the book cover challenge is skylines. So this one hit both challenges, so I'm planning to read this month. I'm really looking forward to it. Basically, it's about a group of people who get stuck on the top of a very tall building while the city is drowning or something like that. And you can basically infer that just based off of the cover alone, but I was already highly intrigued by just the cover, but the synopsis makes it sound even more interesting. So I'm really excited to be reading that. I'm waiting for my hold to come in for the library for it, but as soon as I get it, I will be reading it. Next one that also would fulfill Buzzwordathon prompts is Watermoon. And I don't know anything about this one, but again, the cover was really intriguing and it's been put on my radar by several other creators. So I do want to read this one. I think it's safe to say it's like a sci-fi as well. And I'm wanting to read more sci-fi this year. So we put that on the list. We also have Whalefall. Gosh, man, really all it has to have is a very intriguing cover because I will read it if I like the cover. I love this. I can assume it's kind of like a Jonah and the Whale type story where a man gets eaten by a whale, swallowed by a whale, something like that. You know, I think it's safe to assume. So we're gonna pick it up and find out what actually happens. But I'm very looking forward to it. And then finally, I also have The Frozen River. And again, I'm waiting for this to come in from my library. This one, I've read the synopsis before in the past, but I've read so many books that I just forget what these are all about. But I know that it really pulled me in when I first heard about it. And it's like historical fiction, like a mystery maybe, like the main character is like trying to uncover the mystery of something that's frozen in the river. I don't know, I'm just spitballing. So stay tuned for when I do read all these books and I can give you proper pitches and synopses and my rating and reviews on all of them. But yeah, these are all the 25 books that I plan to read in 2025. Let me know in the comments some of the books that are on your 25 list this year, if you made one. I always think they're so fun, and then you have the whole year to try to complete the TBR. And I believe in us. I believe we can do it. And I'm very excited to hopefully find some great new books this year. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm extremely out of breath. I will see you in my next video. Bye!